this dude.
Whee!
He's fallen.
Oh, hello.
Hi, little friends. It's me,
Hello.
the Avatar again. Ha ha ha.
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Avatar: The Last Airbender. Oh fuck.
Welcome back to the Last Lives Noobs and Men. I'm Liam.
And I'm Sean again. Sadly,
Maybe, kind of, a little bit.
could be. Who knows who's truly behind this Avatar? It's me,
He's back. Oh shit!
Mike Wazowski.
All right, the tier list boys, we're back.
The boys. Our last
After a
tier
long
list was the
hiatus.
Shire. All right. Now, not only was it the Shire, but it is one of our worst performing videos. Let me get up the statistics on this.
Okay. It
Your
was also 4 months ago.
yeah, 4 months ago. 4 months ago, and it's not even hit 2,000 views yet.
Yeah,
Get
that's
watching.
Don't honestly, it's pretty shit.
Yeah, look, all of our videos are shit. It's fine.
Yeah, don't actually watch anything we make. That's my advice.
Yeah, honestly, don't listen to us. So after that, what tier list are we doing, Liam?
We're doing something a little different. We're finally branching out from armies, even though we haven't finished armies. We've still got like 4 or 5 left, but fuck it.
We're taking a note out of Into the West, who have stolen our thing.
We're trying to get to this tier list before they do, and that's, that's the only reason.
This is our format, all right?
Yeah,
we
started this, 2 years ago now, motherfuckers.
This is our thing.
Good.
So we're coming back.
We're coming back with something you guys haven't done yet, and we'll probably steal the shit that you guys have done as well.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Anyway,
Richard, Charles, Ian's pretty cool.
Ian's all right. No, Richard's fine. Ian can have fun.
So
all right.
scenarios.
We're here with scenarios. Yeah.
Scenarios. There's 18 scenarios.
Yeah, and not all of them are created equal.
No. This one is going to be very subjective, I reckon. Like more so than
very controversial, I reckon.
And I have a very controversial pick, so we'll get into that when we get to it. But just put out, it's like one of those OG BuzzFeed things. It's like top 18 scenarios. Number 5 will
shock you.
Shock you. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
So get ready for the
will give you a fucking aneurysm.
Reconnoiter's my favorite. All right.
Yeah, Reconnoiter SS tier. All right, let's fucking do it. Oh god, it's been a little while. Oh yeah, someone. Here we are. Yeah, look, we're starting off in alphabetical order, which means we're going from 18, apparently. So we're starting off with Assassination. Assassination. Now, for having arse in it twice, it's one of my favorites. But genuinely, though, I actually really enjoy the scenario.
I do too.
I think it's a lot of fun.
This genuinely is a great little scenario, and I competitively as well. I really like it.
Yeah, it's an interesting take on, like, it's got a little bit of fog of war, like, but just a bit more extreme.
Yeah.
Which I actually really quite like. And 24 deployment is always a great time for me because I don't play shooting armies.
Ooh, give me that 12-inch deployment. No, I really like any scenario that makes you have to try and read your opponent's mind, look at their movements and see what they're doing to determine who their assassin is, or if, are they going for the 5 points as opposed to the 7 points by just killing the target. Like, I love those kind of mind games.
Who would their target be out of my heroes? Like, what hero should I pick as my assassin that they won't, like, suspect? That kind of shit. So much fun. I will say, Vrashku, best assassin. Oof. He's a good boy. Fucking those 2 shots to just murder someone on the way
I
in.
need to reread this.
Oh, that's great.
Because
can
you do you get
quick,
the points if you shoot them? You do, don't you?
Yeah, you just have to cause the wounds. The shooting is
right.
wounds.
Is it contest of champions where you can't use shooting or magic?
Yeah, I think it's contest of champions. Yeah, and I think even lords. Oh no, lords is just any wounds. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So assassination, real quick to give it a rundown. It's a 24 deployment. It ends on a 1-2. So broken 1-2, one of those kind of scenarios. The victory conditions are your assassin. You choose a target, pick an assassin. If your assassin wounds or kills the target, you get max points on the first objective.
Yep.
So you get one point for wounding them, 3 points for wounding them with your assassin, 5 points for killing them, 7 points for killing them with your assassin. You also have leader wounds, classic shit, and broken, unbroken, classic shit.
Now,
the big thing is just the assassin points.
Yes, that's where you're going to get most of your points from. Now, the question here is, in a competitive setting, is this a scenario you like to see? I do.
I do. I'm giving it A for ass.
A for ass. It's got 3 A's in its name.
Yeah.
2 of those A's start the best words. So
yeah, I think it's a solid ass tier.
It's a solid ass tier. Absolutely.
Look, it is really good. Like, I know a lot of people. There's definitely like a lot of army. Well, not a lot of armies. There's a chunk of armies that definitely struggle because, like, if you've only got, say,
if you're playing,
Dark Denizens is one that really hates it. Any like single hero armies, that kind of stuff, really hate it. But I mean, that being said, with the Spider Queen as your assassin, she's a pretty good assassin. But when she is your leader and target for your opponent is pretty rough.
Yeah, that's a bit of a yikes.
But yeah, there's definitely armies that don't like it, but I do genuinely quite like this a lot.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I love seeing it show up, and when I get the chance to play it, I am always there for it. Now, the next one we have. Oh, you haven't added the hole. It's been so long that we forgot to add the hole.
What am I doing? What's green? There it is. I just accidentally made D tier not green, and I don't know why. Anyway.
All right.
Name
the next one, another 24-inch deployment, so you'll like this one. Breakthrough. So
yeah, Breakthrough. It's another one of the new ones. Like those 6 new ones that popped up relatively recently.
Yeah, a couple of years ago. So
yeah, 2020.
The new match play guidebook. Yeah, sometime around then. But no, this one's one of those fun ones. It's similar to Capture and Control. So
it has it's like a bit of like a Capture and Control kind of like Storm the Camp kind of mix, which is kind of fun.
Yeah. So there's 4 objectives. There's 2 on the halfway line, and there's 1 in your deployment zone and 1 in your opponent's deployment zone. If you get to the objective in your opponent's deployment zone, that gets you 4 points. If you hold your one, it nets you 1 point, and the ones on the middle line net you 2 points. And then vice versa.
It's half points if your opponent has models nearby.
Yeah.
So you've got to be the only one within 3 inches of those objectives.
Yeah.
Which can be really difficult, but it's a lot of fun.
It can be tough. This is, again, I love this scenario. Even as
another really good one.
Prioritizes shooting in their army, this is one of my favorite scenarios.
Yeah, this is another it's got a good mix. Like we'll find out that I'm not a huge fan of Storm the Camp, and I don't think you are either.
No.
But that's the last one we'll look at. But it's a good mix between Storm the Camp and Capture and Control. Like it's the stuff that's kind of a bit the good stuff on either side, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like absolutely. It's that like you've got to be able to control those objectives. If you're the only one there, you get the most points, so you've really got to try and keep your opponent out. And there's some really fun tactics of, I'm going to deploy, three like not deploy. I'm going to put my models like 3.3 inches away from it or whatever. So you can charge me, but you can't get into the 3 inches and that kind of stuff. Or one of my favorites is being forced into the zone by losing fights. That kind of stuff is always really good. Just like you've got to actually control your. It's a really good maneuvering. Like you're moving your models really like deliberately in this one, which is quite fun.
Absolutely. And see, I played this one quite risky, where what the fuck's happened here? Anyway, something popped up on my computer. Anyway, no, so I play this one fairly a risky way. So I actually allow my opponents to take basically all the objectives, and then I come for them late game. So
yeah,
that's my play style. Just in general, I'm a very late game player.
Yeah, you really are.
I let my opponents control the game. Let them think they're controlling the game early on. When in reality, it's me controlling the game.
It's me.
And then I bury. Yeah. And so I love a scenario like this. So recently we had a tournament, which you weren't able to make it to, where I played Breakthrough with my Dunedain, and I deployed on the back line. And my opponent came and captured all the objectives, and I held him at my objective. And because he just was like, oh, he's not going to get through my lines, he left one guy on his back objective, one guy on one of the side objectives, and I just like went from left to right and took all those objectives, and then came back to my home one and was like, I guess I control every single objective now.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like you really got to. I mean, with that kind of tactic, you've really got to be making sure you got the right time and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, yeah. It's very. You've got to time everything perfectly. Your moves need to be on point.
Bang on.
And a little mistake, it doesn't leave much leeway for mistakes.
Room for error, yeah.
But I love it. But look, it's going to be tough. I love a lot of these scenarios. So a lot of them I've put in A.
I think this is definitely an A one.
Yeah.
I think there are some S tier scenarios.
Yes.
And
Yes.
It's not. There's not quite.
Yeah. There's not a lot of like shit tier scenarios. But capture and control is our next one.
Yeah.
This one's very similar to Breakthrough. It's got sticky objectives, which means you can touch them and then run away. This is a fun little one. There are the 5 objectives, so one now in the smack bang in the middle of the board.
So I have some problems with capture and control.
Yeah.
So one big one is the deployment. I don't know why this deployment exists.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Front half.
4, 5, 6.
4, 5, 6 anywhere. Yeah. I don't know why the fuck that deployment exists at all. Like, I understand for like a shooting army, you don't want them right at the back, blah, blah, blah. Sure, why not? But like, why not have it a bit more interesting and make it 1, 2, 3 back half, 4, 5, 6? Because everyone wants to deploy, at least in the front, 12. Like, even a shooting army, like, most of the time, they're not too fast if they're like, even 13 inches away from the board edge. That's not like a huge deal for them anyway. It's more interesting if it was the opposite way around.
I rate the idea where it, instead of it being 4, 5, 6, you can choose anywhere. 1, 2, 3 front half, 4, 5, 6 back half, and that's just
something a bit weird, like something a little different. I don't like. It's just I don't understand this deployment at all. It just doesn't make any sense to me because.
The amount of
times
and
where your opponent's just like, I'm just gonna deploy the front. We were saying the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's like we're not even gonna roll. We'll just deploy in our front half.
Exactly. Like, I don't want to be at the back, and so you both just like, all right, we'll just fucking both just deploy like a 24 deployment anyway.
Yeah.
And look, the other thing I absolutely despise about the scenario is that it's a 1-2 end.
Yeah.
It makes the scenario such a bitch in the late game because you're like, okay, if I have like one more turn, I'll nail this. I've got models that are like right next to all these objectives, blah blah blah. And so then you're like, okay, cool. We'll wait. And then the first break, it's just like, oh, one, sick.
Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with 1-2 breaks.
Shit.
Ooh,
Excuse me?
Sir?
Sir? Hang on. Let me just... Nani?
I'm gonna have to find and edit that out now.
That one. Alright, you have a love-hate relationship?
Yeah. Yeah, no. I have a love-hate relationship with 1-2 break scenarios.
Yeah.
I
same.
love the idea, but I also hate the idea. And it's more on the case that I can't figure out another way to do it, because the quarter break is cool and I like it, but I don't want every scenario to be ends on one, one army at quarter ends the game. That makes games go for way too long. So I understand why there's the 1-2 roll off, but I kind of wish there was another way, but I haven't thought of another way.
It's always like it's always either the game ends way too early or the game ends way too late. Like every time I play a 1-2, or like 90% of the time I play a 1-2, it's either me or my opponent is like, okay, cool, the game ends now, I win. And then it's just like, you just can't control that. So like, you've got to try, obviously, like, you're still playing the game, so you're still trying to, do the objectives and that kind of stuff. But when the game goes for like 6 turns too long or whatever, like you are like almost tabled, and yet the game still doesn't end, and your opponent still ends up managed to clinch a win. You're like, sick. I could have won this game for the last 5 turns. The game now has ended on the turn.
There's been a number of times where I've played a game where I've gone, cool, I win this game. I have 10 turns. Exaggerating a little bit, but let's say I've got
you can have like
turns.
4 or 5 turns.
Cool.
Yeah.
I can't lose this game. And then suddenly, that one turn where it's like, cool, all right, I can lose this game now. The game ends, and you're like,
Yeah, that happens to me more often than not. Or
there's a game.
The opposite.
Shouting out, Father Conquest over here. There is a game on Conquest Creations that still haunts me to this day. It was Jacob's Moria with a Belrog versus my Dale, and I played a perfect game. Probably the most perfect game I've ever played. I couldn't do anything better in this game. And we were playing Hold Ground. It was perfect. But the game just would not end.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where I could not do anything to stop the Belrog, because the Belrog was just doing Belrog stuff. And the game just kept going and going and going. And there's a great little clip of me at the end of the game sitting on his sofa, hands in face, like crying essentially, because
it just doesn't end.
It just So I will say this:
it either ends straight away or ends like 19 turns in. There's no in between.
Capture and Control, in my mind, goes into B tier because I like the mid game of Capture and Control. I like that, all those elements of it. Yeah. But it's the end game with the 1-2 break where Capture and Control can really get out of whack.
One of the really big things that annoys me about Capture and Control is there's no like range on the objective. So your opponent can do the most bullshit thing in the game of just put a 40 mil base on top of the objective and you can't touch it. And it's like, cool. Yeah. Which, like, I granted, I am guilty of. Once or twice I have done that. But every time it happens, I'm like, I feel like absolute scum. This is the worst fucking thing I could be doing. But, man, that one always annoys me.
I can't remember if it was an official rule or if it was just the rule of, like, the scene that I was playing in a little while back. And the rule was you could walk over an objective with no issue, but you couldn't end your move on top of an objective. And I love that rule. I think that was
the, like, generally accepted ruling until there was an FAQ of, like, oh, yeah, objectives don't have any, like, anything, and you're like, oh, okay, so people could just end on it, and they're like, yeah, okay, yeah, you can do that. I'm like,
Yeah.
why would you say that they can do that?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. And so, but Clash by Moonlight is our next one. And this is one of my favorites. I love Clash by Moonlight.
I fucking hate it. So
I would genuinely put this in S tier. I love Clash by Moonlight.
It's not going there. I'll give you B tier. Look, Clash is an interesting one. I don't like despise it, but man, and like I know the hypocrisy of having played a lot of AOL is really showing here, but man, this one specifically, like it's just those like, oh, okay, the objective is heroes, which doesn't really make sense to me.
So the objective is to kill heroes, kill all your opponent's heroes, and have more heroes on the field than they do at the end of the game. And oh god, I love that. I really
I think it's one of the worst scenario objectives, to be honest. I don't know, it's
thoroughly
just like,
enjoy it.
Yeah, but it's like it discourages like, and like your opponent, like it just kind of it always ends up being, oh, your opponent has one hero that they fuck off to the other side of the board, and like you both maybe get 1 or 2 hero kills, and so you're both getting like 3 points or something. It's just like, or like a point each or something. Like it's just, I don't know. It's just a weird one. I just I don't know.
I think that's why I do enjoy it, because I very like, and you're similar in this regard, where you enjoy mid-tier heroes as opposed to
100%.
big beefy. I'm very much like that. In fact, I would just play with like captains as my heroes. I really enjoy just like,
you've done it before.
I enjoy just troops on troops just going at each other. Like I really enjoy that element of the game, and this, you know, Clash by Moonlight makes this happen. Where a lot of my army builds are based around the troops that I can take as opposed to the heroes. The only reason I take certain heroes is because I'm like, I'm going to a tournament, I kind of want to do semi well. I'm going to take these heroes.
I'll need a hero that can strike. I'll need a hero that can, you know,
given the opportunity for like a friendly or whatever, I will just take troops and I'll go, cool, no heroes, it's just troops on troops, let's see what happens. I enjoy that part of the game, and that's why I really enjoy Clash by Moonlight, because a lot of the time your opponent goes, oh, I'm just going to fuck my heroes off there, and I'm like, cool, this is where I shine in the game. Just
fair.
Troops and troops.
See, yeah, I don't know. I do love heroes.
Firsthand knows how I play this scenario.
Yeah. Well, that's because you had a bolt thrower and he chose it for some reason. Like a bolt thrower and like 15 fucking bows, and he was like, "Yeah, let's do that one." Like, what are you doing, you fucking maniac?
Oh, it was beautiful. Anyway, look, I wouldn't put this S tier. I want to put it in like A tier, but I think I come from a different angle than you do.
Yeah, you really do.
I'm coming at it from a, you know, not necessarily like the competitive side of things. Like I'm coming at it from like this is the enjoyment I get out of the game itself.
That's fair.
I'll be happy with upper B tier.
I feel like as a competitive scenario, it's not the greatest.
If I have to dig deep, if I truly have to dig deep and like push aside my biases, I don't think it's a great competitive scenario.
Yeah, I think like you can definitely get some fun out of it, obviously. I think if this pops up at a tournament, I'm not even picking it. Like if it's veto, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Like
fair.
the amount of times this has popped up on veto and we're both just like, no, good.
No.
All right, fine. It's like the big thing is just that 12-inch darkness as well.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people are just like, no thanks.
And even as someone who uses a lot of shooting in game, I love it. It makes my shooting better.
Yeah, I bet you do. Even as, not because of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This next
Man,
one,
the
though, Liam,
Battlefield.
I
fucking
hate.
love this.
God,
I love it.
hate this one
love
with a
it
passion.
so much.
This comes into veto. I don't care what the other scenarios are. If Command the Battlefield comes in, I'm not playing it. I hate
This
Command
is
the
one of my
Battlefield.
favorites. I fucking love this one.
Oh, yeah, I hate
The
Command the
complete
Battlefield.
opposite. This is where we do this. See, alright. So, granted, like, Maelstrom, I'm not a huge fan of Maelstrom. I think the easiest way to fix Maelstrom would be to make it alternating deployment, and then no one gets completely fucked over by getting priority.
100%.
Easy fix. I think everyone fucking believes that. Anyway, but I actually really love this scenario because it means for starters, the whole board is used, which makes me very happy, except for obviously the center, but even then people are rushing through it and all that kind of stuff. But it's like the amount of scenarios, the amount of games where you're like, okay, we're going to meet here and we're going to use this like 3x3 or like 1x1 bit of fucking board, and that's where our armies are going to fight, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's boring as shit. I love because the other massive thing that I really adore about this scenario is, for starters, like, because it is Maelstrom, you are all over the place, so you're kind of having these little skirmishes all over the board, and that makes me really fucking happy. I love those kind of games where you can actually go and like, okay, this warband versus this warband, or you know, I've got a bit of a localized advantage here. This is good, but means I'm failing somewhere else where I don't have that advantage, or my opponent's able to, you know, maneuver better than me elsewhere, and that means I'm struggling objective wise. But it's like, you can send off, you know, fucking a squad of like 6 goblins, and they run off to the other side of the board, and then your opponent like suddenly brings in their 2 cavalry models, and you're like, oh, I'm fucked. And then it's just this little skirmish you've got over in the corner of the battlefield between like 3 models, and like it decides the fate of the game, and I fucking love that.
Yeah. No, look, that's fair. God, and I mentioned it before in Clash by Moonlight, where I like when the 2 armies meet, and the intricacies of like both lines coming at each other. I hate it when it's just like, oh, my one dude is fighting your one dude. Okay, let's see what happens. Like,
the thing I like about that, though, is in this scenario, it actually matters. Like,
yeah.
Sometimes you'll have one dude fighting one dude, and it's like, okay, cool, that's on the other side of the board, no one gives a shit. Yeah. Whereas this is like, oh, that one dude, if I kill him, or if I force him over this, you know, center line, I get 2 VPs out of this fucking this objective.
Yeah.
And it just, it's, you know, and I think shit like that actually matters in this scenario, and that's just a lot of fun. Personally, this is one of my favorites. I do agree. I think we're in a similar scenario between this and Clash, of like, it's probably not the most competitive, but I do actually think it's more competitive than Clash.
That's fair. I thought, look, yeah, nah.
Other than the fact that it's Maelstrom,
I'm trying to find something in there that I like about it, and I just can't. I just don't enjoy it.
That's me in Clash. I just don't give a shit about Clash. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really
don't get me wrong. I like
scenario.
It when armies like split up on the board, but sometimes these games, like, yeah, it becomes too reliant on like. Here's an anecdote for you. BrizCon a couple of years ago, I was going up against Evan, my Dunedain, against his...
Well, there's your problem immediately.
Goblin fucking horde, right?
Yeah, there's your problem immediately.
No, I decimated the goblins. I was like, cool, I've got this. I can't lose this game. I've killed 3 of his 4 dwellers.
Oh, that's right.
I've dropped his numbers to like nothing, but I lost the game by a point because a single fucking goblin rolled double 6s on its courage check.
That's the shit. That's the shit right there. Those little fucking like, this one motherfucker is gonna fuck me over. Hell yeah. This little 5-point shit has lost me the game. That's funny as hell. I love that.
I was just like, because I think the turn before that goblin killed a Dunedain, which like is really, it's a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong, it's quite funny, but I just
competitively, it's not amazing.
yeah, and
to have that happen. Obviously,
this was definitely during my like competitive phase in the game where like I was taking things a bit more seriously, and it rubbed me the wrong way. And ever since that day, I kind of disliked Command before it, but that game happened and I just like.
Oh, see, no, I've played some really fun Command & Battlefield games. Like, there's one on Father Conquest, Father Conquest channel. Actually, was that? Oh, maybe we posted that one. I can't remember. From like last year. It was AOL versus elves.
But I remember.
Maybe it might have been on. I can't remember. Regardless, we played Command & Battlefield, and there was like 3 goblins that were just like holding sections of the battlefield for me for the entire game, rolling like 10s on their courage, and it was like, this is the best courage goblins have ever had ever.
I just like. Man. I know that the game is all about like random dice rolls. It's like the name of the game.
Yeah.
Is you're rolling dice and it's all random, which I love, but I love like mitigating randomness and like trying to like.
Granted, like you can do in this scenario, like
trying to work around that, but you get moments where it's just like, oh, my goblin versus this Dunedain.
Yeah.
Okay, sick. Oh, the goblin killed my Dunedain? Fuck. All right.
That could happen in almost any fucking game, though. That's the thing. Any scenario.
But then it becomes like such a huge part of the game. If that
but like it always
suddenly it's like
oh, you'll have those rolls that'll go badly, that'll fuck you an entire scenario.
Yeah,
that's just kind of the game, really. At that point, like I hate it myself. It fucking well documented how much I get angry at dice, but man, it's also really funny when it's like, hey, this these goblins that are just like sprinting around the battlefield, like it's just a little gang of dudes. They're just little guys.
Just a couple of boys.
Just little
lads. Yeah, look.
I don't know. I enjoy it. I think it's, again, probably not the most competitive one.
I'd be happy in B. I don't want to see it in A. I really don't.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll both have a B tier scenario that we really enjoy.
All right. You ready for this one?
Yeah, sure.
Destroy the supplies? Fucking S tier. This is my favorite fucking scenario. This is
okay.
Prime. This is prime. Me and Riley, whenever we play at tournaments, for some reason, this is the only scenario we ever verse each other in. But on top of that, I love this scenario. I think it just suits my play style.
Oh, it really does. That's the thing, is all you have to do is sit at the back of the board and defend some things. Cool, I'll just sit there and shoot, and then eventually maybe I'll go and destroy supplies of my opponents. Like, this is your scenario, really.
This is my scenario. Because, as you mentioned, I sit at the back. I come forward a little bit, and I sit, and I hold my opponent off, and then just give me a little break in your lines, and I've got dudes scurrying through, and guess who controls your objectives? This dude. And if you try and do the same to me, I'm sorry, my guy, I'm gonna win that fight. That's
what the big thing. I think you're like, and it makes perfect sense given your like armies and playstyle. Is your big thing is, okay, I want the localized advantage at my objective.
Yeah.
And if I can then get 3 dudes at yours, more often than not, you've charged forward with most of your army, and then I'm gonna win at the back line. Like, and it makes sense. It's not mine. I'm the opposite. I'm the dude that runs at you.
Yeah. And
normally,
I've had games where my opponent has decided to sit back at their objectives. And I've gone, do you know what? I can see that they're going to be stubborn. so I'm gonna have to come forward. That's
Yeah.
cool, because I know how to defend my objectives when doing this.
Yeah, for sure. And,
And
like,
so-
yeah, there is definitely a, like, you know, an element of, like, knowing how much to commit and how much to keep back and that kind of stuff, for sure.
Yeah. And so this is why I say it's S tier. Because it's my scenario.
Yeah.
There's no other way to put it. Because
You've got a bias for sure.
absolutely.
I do like this scenario, but I will say that I have enjoyed playing this scenario with like really low model count armies and seeing how I can do.
But this game fucked with bay awnings. This scenario is fucked with bay awnings.
Oh, but that's because it's fucking bay awnings.
No. I mean, if you want a challenge, play bay awnings, you will struggle.
Oh no, man! It's a
tough
for sure
scenario.
you will. But, like, yeah, I've played this with Arable Reclaimed, I think 3 times now.
Oh, is this your goat army?
No, this was my foot lads. I had like 11 of them.
Oh yeah.
Foot. But I versed oh my god, why am I blanking? Oh, Justin, my god, why did I not remember
the
Justin's name? Yeah, I remember versing Justin on this at a tournament once, and he was running fiefdoms, and it was like one of the tighter games that I've played in a while, just because it was like, okay, I've got to control at least 2 objectives, and then I've got to find Imrahil and murder the fuck out of him. And it's just like, it's finding those little, like, okay, I've got to, you know, I got to find my win condition on this with a smaller army. Yeah. But, like, lately I have been playing a lot smaller armies, and that's kind of part of the issue that I have for the scenario, really.
No, that's fair. I think in a competitive sense, once again trying to remove my bias, in a competitive sense, I think it really works well because it
100%.
It forces everyone to come. For the most part, it forces everyone to come together, and it forces the fights. The big
thing is
you can't just let the game.
Has you? Sorry, go.
No. I just say, like, yeah, it forces everyone to come together, whether that be in the middle of the board. No, yeah, we've got a minute. Let's stop.
Yeah, quick, before they find us. All right, where were we?
We got
destroy
the supplies. I do not remember where we were. We've just come back from a 10-minute break because Zoom decided to fuck us off. Because we're too poor to pay for the full version.
We're more too lazy, really.
Lazy. Not lazy.
Look, I don't mind destroy the supplies. I reckon, like, it's definitely A tier. I reckon.
Absolutely.
It's really quite good. Like, it's got very similar vibes to Breakthrough, just with, like, a little bit of like, you can at least get permanent points, kind of thing. Like, even if, say, for instance, you, like, someone's versing you, and they, you know, burn 2 of your suppliers, that's 4 points that they're just going to have regardless of what you
absolutely
do, which is kind of fun.
And I think what I was getting at before the break, that the viewers won't know about because we're not telling them about the break.
You could have just not said anything, which was
but it's funnier. It's funnier to bring it up anyway. Was that, I think there is that competitive element where the lines will eventually clash, and you've got to work around and work out how to deal with all that. Whether that be you meet in the middle, whether that be you meet in your opponent's deployment zone or your deployment zone, the lines are going to clash, and you've got to figure out how to work around that, and then how to protect your objectives and how to destroy your opponents. So I'm a big fan of it. I'm a big fan of Destroy the Supplies.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Divide and Conquer. This is one I know you hate.
Fucking hate.
Yeah. Personally, I actually don't mind Divide and Conquer. I I think there's some really interesting tactics to go on in Divide and Conquer. Like your deployment ends up being really important because you've got to figure out who's going to be on their own, who's going where, and like, can I then defend them after deployment? Like, do I like deploy someone valuable in the corner so my opponent goes and charges them while the rest of my army goes and takes the center, kind of thing? Like, or vice versa, do I go after my opponent or do I just try and get to the center as quickly as possible? Like,
no, there's definitely
some fun things going on.
That look, I don't like it because of the deployment. The rest of the game, the rest of the scenario, I quite enjoy.
I think the most annoying thing about the deployment is purely on the fact that at like a good percentage of tournaments you play at anyone really plays at, there's, you know, a line of tables. And if I'm having to deploy in the corner of my board, both corners of my board, and I'm having to go around these fucking tables just to put my models down, that's a real bitch.
I've had a number of games where my opponent has looked at me and said, "Hey man, can we just deploy on our halves of the table and just the objectives in the middle of the table?" And I'm like, do you know what? Yeah, absolutely. I'm down for it.
And it still works. The scenario still works.
Definitely does. But the deployment annoys me a little bit. I'm very much around keeping my army for the most part together or able to to each other. That's
but I find it interesting that there's scenarios where, like, obviously this and like any Maelstrom scenario, where you have to then operate your army very differently.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I quite like that. I like that that's in the game. Like, you can't just constantly go, okay, I'm playing Thranduil, I'm gonna death bubble. I'm playing Halls of Thranduil, I'm death bubbling, you can't do anything about it. Like,
and this is
whereas this is like, okay, cool.
Don't get me wrong, like, as much as I say that I hate these scenarios, I do dislike them, but I will still play them, and I will still play them how they're meant to be played, and I know how to play them. I just don't enjoy them as much, and I think that's where I'm coming across is the enjoyment that I get out of game. Divide and Conquer, the first few turns I don't enjoy, but the rest of the game I thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah, I think like I do really like, you know, there's the objectives in the center and that kind of stuff, and it's worth the most, and so you're all gunning for it, but then you've really got to like worry about your opponent, like, and where you've deployed and all that kind of stuff. I just think I like a different deployment. I do like. I know you don't, but it's just that the change in the game when you deploy differently, or like when you're forced to deploy differently.
There's nothing that feels worse to me than whether it be I'm on the receiving side of it or I'm doing it to my opponent, where you just send both halves of your army into one corner and you just decimate half of your opponent's army. That's a feel bad moment for
it's definitely like, but then there's
parties.
ways to negate it. There's ways to play around that. Like, if your opponent's whole army is off, you know, in your first deployment, then one, you can like move your army in a way where like you get them in a shit position.
Yeah.
And they might kill your army, but then you've got the other third of your army or whatever, or half of your army then sits in the center, and then they've got to try and get through that army before the game ends. And because it's broken 1-2, you might already be broken by the time they kill that half, and the game might just fucking end.
I guess that's also the other part is
broken 1-2 on this sucks ass as well.
Being that's broken 1-2.
Yeah.
If you do go for that, I'm just going to clap my opponent's army or half of their army, suddenly you go, well, now the game either.
But that's that's the problem of doing it. Like,
yeah, exactly. You got to mitigate
wipe
that.
out half your you can wipe out half your opponent's army, but then you fucked yourself. Whereas like you could then instead go for the center, and
which then brings me back to why not just have regular old deployment? Because
it makes it like you then got like in the center it's fucked at that point, which I love, because you like, okay, cool, here's our armies, there's no shield walls, it's just this, like,
it's just
it's this fucking like melee in the center where there's 1,000 different models all like in different fucking formations and all that kind of stuff, and you've got to try and make like localized advantages kind of stuff.
I do have to say I do
like
rate it. This scenario where like two halves of the armies on the other side of the board meet each other, and there's a slow trickle of miniatures where like one side of the board I'll be like, oh, I'm winning on that side.
Yeah.
I can start moving some of my troops to the middle, and on the other side you would be like, oh, I'm winning on that side. So you start I do enjoy that when that happens, and it doesn't happen a lot, but when that happens, I really enjoy divide and conquer. And that's why, like, part of me just wants to go, all right, cool, split your army in half, but the deployment is really weird where you have to deploy one half of your army on the left flank and one half of the army on the right flank.
Like, that could definitely be interesting. I love
that idea.
I definitely don't mind that either. I think, I appreciate a different deployment in the game. Fair. That's always a lot of fun. I also totally fucking hate the scenario when I'm in the middle table of a big old fucking row of tables, and that fucking sucks ass. Like, there's definitely like some major downsides to the scenario, but that's only on the fact that sometimes you're on a fucking 18-foot table and you're just smack bang in the middle, like, or worse, you're right on the end and there's a wall. You're like, shit. But I think, look, I quite like it.
In the competitive side of things, I do think because of that different deployment, there is a competitive element to it where you've got to be sure. You've got to know what you're doing.
Absolutely, and you've got to like deploy your army properly. Like, you can't just deploy randomly, because if you put the wrong model on the wrong side or whatever and get absolutely fucked on, like.
And look, deployment's such an important part of the game. If you don't deploy correctly, you can be in a lot of strife.
Yeah, 100%. All right, I mean, I know, like we did say we're going to put a lot in A's here, but I do genuinely think this one belongs in A's.
No, I don't enjoy it, but I'll play it, and I can understand why it would be an A.
I think like there's enough like benefits, especially like even if you don't like the other game, there's enough like mid and late game fun out of that scenario.
Right. The mid game I thoroughly enjoy. Domination though,
it's still a 1-2, which fucking sucks ass. Anyway,
if you're not saying this is S tier, this has got to be like the best scenario.
100%. No, 100%. Domination is just it's one of the most balanced little just slap each other scenarios. I love it.
Domination and Fog of War. So Fog of War is directly up next. I think you're in line with this as well, so I'm going to risk it and say, in our opinion, are the two most balanced games in the scenarios in the game.
Yeah, I will say I've definitely played too much Fog of War, and it's got to the point where I'm like, I fucking hate it. It's just boring. Yeah. But I do genuinely really agree that both of these scenarios, I think we might have looked at them both at the same time, because they operate relatively similarly as well.
There's a nice mix of, you've got to split your army up, but you've also got to, you can also play in like the way that I like to play, which is, keep your army together in a shield wall. So Domination, for example, I look at 3 objectives and I go, cool, I'm sitting in the middle of those 3 objectives. And if I can get to the last 2 that are in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, sure, I'll go for them and I'll go get them. But I concentrate.
There's a real tactic to how you put your objectives down.
Absolutely.
But the other thing that's really funny is that you can like be like, okay, I'm going to put it here and here because this is really good for me, and then your opponent's like, I want that side of the board. And I'm like, shit.
Yeah. There's some nice mind games you've got to play early on.
Yeah.
The putting down the objectives, and then when table sides happen, and I guess somewhat luckily here in Queensland, most people will just like show up at a table, sit down, will roll a dice.
This is my side.
This is my side. I'm not moving. The amount of times I've done that and then looked at the board and gone, tactically speaking, that side of the board is so much better for me. But my ass is already on this seat, so I'm not moving.
My ass is here, my army's here. I'm not bothering. Yeah. But definitely like there is like in an actual, like, if you're really trying, like, there's some really fun little things you can do.
100%. Domination S tier without a doubt.
Easy. But yeah, look, there's not really much to say. It's an objective scenario. You get points for the objective. Yeah. But fog's a really interesting one.
I'm in a similar boat to you, where I love fog, but I've played it so much over the past like 2 or so years. It's at every tournament. When veto
for good reason, to be fair.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I can understand why it's happening. When the veto system comes into play, if Fog of War is in the pool, odds are you're playing Fog of War.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
but like, it is for very good reason. It is one of the most balanced scenarios in the game. There's an objective. There's, you know, like, there's secret objectives. All of them are secret objectives. There's
kill
like
a hero, save one of your heroes.
Keep a hero, and take an objective. Take a terrain piece.
Yeah.
And then don't break. And it just makes it so much like it's simple but not, which is really good. Like, you know, like, it's simple in the fact that, okay, I have one hero that cannot die. I have one hero I want to kill, and I need to move across into my opponent's deployment zone and trick them into thinking this is my objective piece when the other one is actually over there.
I love the mind games in this scenario. So, for example, a game I had against Kirkby a little while ago, my Dunedain against his dwarves, I sent 2 Dunedain basically to the back of his board, but the objective, the terrain piece that I had chosen was on, like, essentially on the middle ground. Like, it was just over, like, on the middle ground. So I sent these 2 guys up the back of the board, which he then, like,
started redeploying to go and stop them.
Like, committed against him. And then in the late game, I just swung one random dude onto that building in the middle and was like, this is my spot.
It's great.
It's a lot of fun, like, playing those games. There's a great story that Pat Matraga told me. Man, I really wish I could remember it. I'll have to get him on. If I can get him, like, what I might try and do,
voice over it,
get him to voice over the story. It's an awesome story about how he just, like, faked out his opponent by, like, lying a model down. So that,
I think I remember that story. I actually did a similar thing in a Fog of War game that we played in Melbourne.
Oh, hell yeah.
Except it was actually my objective. No, like, I committed, like, so much of my army in the center that my opponent was like, oh, this has to be where your objective is. And then Keeley comes over onto the side, lays down, and he's like, oh, shit.
I also really love, like, you can do what you've done there where you've committed your army to the middle and your opponent will go, oh, that's obviously his terrain piece. But then there's also, like, the reverse effect where your opponent goes, is that his terrain
exactly. And
you
can, like, you know, triple bluff and go, actually, it is the center terrain piece, or like, you know, and then they, you know, go off and try and stop the other ones. It's just fun.
There's also nothing better than the moment that it clicks in your mind who the hero that your opponent is trying to save and kill is.
And when it's like, when they spend that extra point of might, or they, you know, target that specific hero one too many times, you're like, that's it. Got it.
And I love it when you figure it out and you move that hero away and you look up at your opponent's face and you just see this look of dread of like, how am I going to get to them? It's incredible. It's a really good scenario, and I'll put in S tier.
Easy. Top of S tier. Easy. 100%.
I think so.
Oh man, Heirlooms. Fucking, I have a love-hate relationship with Heirlooms.
This is big because competitively, I think this is a trash scenario.
Yeah.
But this is one of my favorite scenarios to play.
Yeah, it's such a wonky scenario because, like, the game can essentially end on the first turn because your opponent just goes, "Oh, I've picked up the relic. Here's my castle. Fuck you." Whereas, like, I've played Heirlooms where the heirloom is, like, in the center and, like, we've picked up everything else. And you're just having a mad dash for that last bit, and you're like, okay, everyone knows which one it is, and you've just kind of got to, like, mad dash and then have one model just sprint across the fucking board because they're the only one of your army that's over there.
I enjoy it when the game gets to a point where you're holding on to an objective that you don't want to flip, and your opponent's doing the same thing.
You guys are playing chicken.
Of, like, who's gonna flip it first.
Yeah,
And there's
because like
nothing better than flipping it first and getting that 6 and just
yeah. Oh, so I played a game. This was, I think, the I can't remember what scenario, what tournament. But anyway, played a game against David, and we played Heirlooms in the last round, and there were, I think, 2 or 3. I think it was only 2 left. Two objectives left. I had one completely secured. Like my whole army was around it. There's no fucking way I was getting to it. And the second last one was like near his army, but close enough to cut some of my really fast wargs. I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to march. I'm going to get his objective, and then he's not going to have it, and I'll have mine. It'll be back of the board. It'll be great. I rolled a fucking 6. Like, shit!
Yeah,
this fucking warg, this one little bastard has now got it. And so the whole game ended up just being, oh, everyone, get there now.
Yeah.
And that was genuinely really fucking fun. I ended up losing that game, but only because a fucking Wild Wild Chieftain couldn't roll 1/6 off 14 fucking die. So that was fun.
Disgusting.
Man, just really good fun. And like everyone always forgets it, but when you remember that fucking transfix rule for picking up the relic and rolling a 1 and getting transfixed, it can change the fucking game. See, so funny.
Was it our game at Gladstone? That was Heirlooms, wasn't it?
That was, yeah.
Oh god, what a good game that was.
That was also really good because you picked it up like straight away, and I was like, "Oh my god, I need it."
I got it straight away. Liam,
in like the center of like a circular terrain piece.
I had the best defensive location. I was like, Liam's not getting through this. I will sit here for 2.5 hours and do shit all. He's not getting through. The one turn where I couldn't like stop, my guy moving out.
Yeah.
Liam Eldergar Magical
Sentinel. Come on over here.
This way. Slits in through the gap that I just was not able to fill. Proceeds to get the objective and runs down the side of the board. I'm like, cool. I've got Cav. I'll get there. No problem. My entire cavalry contingency was held up by that Galadrim court guard who just sat there and shielded, and my cav just could not get through.
Oh, so
and I was like, I'm not spending might. He's not going to roll a 6 next turn. It's fine. He fucking rolled a 6, didn't he?
Almost every single fucking time.
Oh, it was insane. That was a really, really good game. And it came down to the wire. It came down to like
that ended up being
half an inch or something.
It was, literally like Boromir was about to charge the fucking lad, and there was like literally maybe, probably half a centimeter or something of gap that wasn't enough for him to fit through.
It hurt my soul. But no, that was a good game. But so I love Heirlooms, and I don't mind it when my opponent gets it like turn 1, because it's suddenly like you have
the game turns out.
Yeah, and you've got to figure out what to do, and it just really challenges you, and I like that. I like being challenged as a player, and that's why, as much 100%. As I dislike a lot of these scenarios, I will still play them because I like the challenge.
Absolutely.
So like,
I think competitively, Heirlooms is probably like a D or C tier.
I think it's a D tier, like in a competitive sense.
Yeah,
it's pretty rough.
I think I want to put it at least C. I think it's a good middle ground.
I'll put it in C because I do enjoy it.
I would love to put it in B, to be honest. But
do you know what would immediately fix this? Alternating deployment.
Yeah, alternating Maelstrom. Yeah, the fact that Maelstrom isn't alternating fucking sucks eggs.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, it's just a fun scenario. It's really like it's competitively garbage, but
just play it with your mates. You'll have a lot of fun.
Really good fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Recon in the hole.
The hole. See ya.
The hole. I fucking hate Recon so goddamn much.
If hobbits can win Recon in turn 1,
turn 2 or 3 or something.
Turn 2 or 3, it belongs in the hole.
It's fucked. I hate it. I hate Recon because like it's just those one of those scenarios where you'll match up against a certain army and you cannot win. Like there is no fucking possible way for you to even try. Like
I have lucked out before and I beat an all-mounted Rohan list with Dale in
Ooh,
Recon.
that's some good shooting.
Yeah, that's all it was. But
Yeah.
beyond that, I don't win the scenario.
I just
Like,
don't play it. That's the big thing.
it's
Even if I've got the the numbers, the movement advantage, I'm just like, I don't want to play this. Like, I never want to play this scenario because it's just like I'll either win or lose, like depending on my army and nothing else. Almost.
it's yeah.
Like,
I played it recently at Battle Hardened. Because
oh yeah, against fucking Goblin Town.
yeah, Goblin Town with a dragon. So I had the choice of seize the prize or reconnoiter because he vetoed Lords of Battle or to the death or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So I was like, cool, fair enough, he gets rid of that. But those two scenarios, he's got Goblin Town with a dragon, bro.
Yeah.
What am I meant to do? My best
100%.
chance was probably seize the prize, but I decided in that moment I'm gonna play Reconnoiter, one, because I haven't played it in ages, and two, I wanted to see what I could do. And I'll be honest, close.
Yeah, I mean, when you
Surprisingly
got
close.
those elves,
I think he got 2 models off the table,
yeah, right. No, it's pretty good.
which I was surprised.
Yeah,
But either way, it's
just no fun.
It's not enjoyable.
Like, that's the big thing. Like, it's fun for a challenge maybe sometimes, but
Yeah.
like
I've
even
seen players at tournaments lose tournaments because of Recon.
Yeah,
Because they've pulled Recon.
Like, there are armies that just like literally can't play it, and it's like, sick. All right, cool.
And
just lose.
like I understand that when it comes to tournaments, getting lucky with the armies you verse and the scenarios that you get plays a
role for sure.
It plays a role, but
man, it sucks.
I don't want to see someone who is on an absolute roll and doing so well suddenly just go, cool, I can't win this game because of the scenario.
It's like the big thing, yeah. Like there were like 4 or 5 armies that are just like they just win. Like Goblin Town's won because of like the fucking scribe. Hobbits, yeah. Anyone with fucking Goblin mercenaries, yeah. Like any of those like ambush deployment lads are just gonna win because they can just go, oh, here's that army, it's just gonna get off the board. Here's like 12 models off the board, and you're like, oh, sick, awesome.
Yeah, because hobbits really get what 12 models off the table. Or 13 models off the table.
And then suddenly it's like, still got 70 models on the board as well.
You need to get 26 models off the table to now win the game.
Yeah, you might have 40 models. Like, yeah.
Good luck. It just doesn't happen. Retrieval. Is retrieval a weird one? Is this the capture the flag one?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
This one's an odd one.
I haven't played this one much recently.
I've played it not recently, but I've played it a bit. It's just, I think this is definitely, as much as I was talking about before, I really like weird deployments. This is the worst deployment. I fucking hate this. Just purely on the fact that
weird.
It's the diagonal. Diagonal 6 inches. It's so hard to measure out, and it's so hard to get right, and it's frustrating there. Scenario wise, it's interesting, but not really my favorite because it's, I don't know, like, again, like if you've got like a bat or like a flying army or a fast army, like they're probably just gonna win that one because they can just go in, pick up the relic, and fuck off. Like, it's an interesting one, but it's definitely not one that I super enjoy.
Yeah, look, it's once again, I just haven't played it much recently. I've enjoyed playing it when I have played it, and there's some funky little moments. But once again, like if you're going up against a flying model, suddenly you're like, cool, my game plan is to sit at the back of the board.
Yeah, you kind of have to at that
and
point.
You kind of just have to, which like in some ways, like as we've mentioned before, that suits my style of play, sitting at the back of the board. But this is one where you've got to go to the back of the board and then bring it back to your side. Games don't go long enough for my strategy to work with that.
Exactly. Like, you can technically get it off on a corner and that kind of stuff, but like, it's just regardless, you're going a long way there and back kind of dealio. Like I don't know. I've had some interesting games playing it. Like I've played Army of the Dead with my Dunland and played this game. It was fun, but like, it's just another like, meh,
Yeah, it's meh. Exactly.
Yeah,
it's just meh.
Yeah, Caesar Prize is an interesting one. Caesar Prize is a very interesting one.
This is the only scenario where I actively say having March is good.
Yeah, absolutely. March can win you this scenario for sure.
One of my favorite moments
you also
was Gladstone.
Games... Go for it.
One of my favorite moments was Gladstone against Matt W, and he was running Beornings, and I was running my Rivendell with Boromir.
Oh yeah.
And the scenario gets pulled, and I just like was flicking through my rules of my models and went, oh shit, Boromir's got March.
Boromir's got 6 points of March.
I guess I'm gonna use this. Like,
yeah.
So, yeah, look,
I don't mind it.
It's a fun scenario. I think it's again can be very reliant on the army you've got.
Yeah, it's not as bad though.
No,
like because
it's got the 4-up roll.
Yeah, exactly. Your opponent can just fuck up digging it up. I played this against Hobbits at Melbourne, and it was really odd because like I think the game like swung a lot, which was very fun. But man, like trying to get through fucking 60 hobbits when he's sitting at the back of the board with Merry having the objective, like you're running back and forth, and you're like, I don't fucking stand a goddamn chance, especially when I was rolling like 3 high most of the time.
Yeah.
But man, like it's an interesting one, and I don't mind it.
I think it sits nicely in B, lower B for sure.
It's just because like decent competitively, but
yeah, in a competitive sense, there's definitely play to it. And it's not so reliant on the army you are versing, whether you're going to win or lose it. Because
there are definitely armies that will just auto win this, though, if they get the rolls anyway.
Yeah, they'll Storm the Camp can fuck right off. I can't remember the last time I played a game of Storm the Camp that did not end in a draw.
Well, you say that. The latest bat rep was a Storm the Camp game.
Hey.
And that was the most fun Storm the Camp I have ever played, hands down.
Hell yeah.
But granted, we both played it like legit, like not like we were both like actively playing it properly, I guess. I don't know. Like it was, it's a bat rep. It's not a competitive game.
You were dicking around a little bit more.
Yeah, but man, like this scenario has, more draws than any scenario I think in the game.
I hate the deployment on this.
The deployment is fucking weird.
Really hate the deployment.
And you spend the first like 3 turns just moving.
Yeah,
it's so fucking frustrating because you're like, you might as well, like, the amount of times I've gone to my opponent, can we just move 2 turns?
Yeah,
like we're both playing fucking like infantry 6-inch move fuckers, so we're both just like, okay, we'll move fucking 12 inches this turn just so we can actually get closer to doing anything in this game.
See, the way that I have gotten around the draws in this game is with shooting armies.
Yeah,
again, similar to a lot of my other scenarios. Opponent comes to me, I shoot the shit out of you. I never have any intent of going for my opponent's for their camp.
Yeah,
I forget about that turn 1. I go, done. My goal is to break you, kill your leader, and all that other shit. Yeah, I'm going for 100%. Every single secondary and making sure you're not in my camp. That's my goal.
Yeah. But then there's also, fucking come up against hobbits and they just win the game because they can just go, I'm in your camp, fuck you.
God. I went up against Kirkby, 1,000 points. Is the last time I won Storm the Camp. And he brought in 12 Hobbit bowmen just on my flank and just started peppering me.
Yeah.
Oh my lord. Yeah. The only way I won that was because I just had so many bows in that list. And the Grim Hammers.
Dale
it was
Grimmies, yeah.
Dale with Grim Hammers. So I had all these bows. I had
Yeah.
D7 and I had throwing weapons that were just like,
yeah,
cool. I got
good stuff.
I got the priority. A lot of your
I'm
guys
gonna kill like 6 hobbits here. Yeah.
Yeah. So
man,
yeah,
it's
Storm
just
the Camp's an interesting one. I'd put it in D tier, to be brutally honest.
I think it probably belongs there, to be honest. Yeah. we started off so strong and we really went downhill.
Really dipped down.
But man, yeah, that's been scenarios. The thing is, they're like it is very clear that there are more better scenarios than there are.
Absolutely.
I just realized Contest of Champions, isn't it?
We're missing. We're missing a few.
Are we?
There's 18.
4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Oh my god, how are we missing 4 scenarios?
Oh my god. Are we dumb?
What the fuck? Well, right back to it, guys.
Absolutely.
Like, nothing happened.
I just went and had a shower, decided to change shirt, that's it.
Yeah, like nothing. No time, no significant amount of time has passed at all. And look, somehow the actual scenarios are there again. I don't know how that happened. I don't know where they went.
How was your Christmas, Liam? Oh, what?
It hasn't happened yet.
It's Christmas in a couple of days.
It's Christmas in a couple of days, yeah. It definitely hasn't been like a week.
We have the final 4 that we didn't forget. They've always been here.
Well, okay. I definitely fucking didn't forget them. The fucking thing didn't put them in. All right?
That's what I would say.
It fucking didn't. I fucking swear to God. Anyway, Contest of Champions. Everyone's favorite scenario. Nothing wrong with this whatsoever. It can't end turn 1 at all. I don't know what you're talking about.
No. This is another scenario. I love Contest of Champions, but not at a tournament.
It's a decent little casual game if you've both taken
big belters.
Some belters, yeah.
I
don't mind it as a regular scenario. It is god awful in tournament play.
It's a shocker because I've watched like really highly competitive armies just crumble at tournaments solely because they've copped Contest of Champions. But
it's like,
in saying that, like to win a tournament, you've got to get lucky with 1, the armies you verse, and 2, the scenarios that you get. So
yeah, but like it's the most like it's much like Recon. It's one of those scenarios where you just lose sometimes. Like off out the gate, you can just be like that.
Gone.
Like it just because it's like you can take a super competitive army of like Lothlorien, for example. If you've got Galadriel as your leader, she's not fucking doing anything in Contest Champions.
Yeah, Kirkby. Kirkby taking the Hobbits with Mary as his leader. That's a question I do want to ask Kirkby. So Kirkby, if you are watching this and have made it this far, have you ever won Contest of Champions with the Hobbits? Because I'd really like to know.
He has. It's on the channel. We played Contest in that Hobbits versus
the Goblin thing. Oh, of course.
Which, by the way, I now know he cheated on because he had a fucking trap in my deployment zone.
Controversy.
Anyway, and that trap really fucked me. I was like, huge. It was a fucking awful trap. Anyway, Contest in the hole.
In the hole. I do have to say this, even though I did just say that I hate Contest at tournaments, my favorite game of Contest of Champions happened at a tournament when I was running Dale and the Grim Hammers, and I was versing Gondor, and I threw a Grim Hammer into Boromir, and this one Grimhammer held up Boromir for about 5 turns. Eventually killed that Grimhammer, so I sent another one in, held Boromir up again because my opponent just decided not to use Might, which, like, I guess kind of fair enough. Like, you think you're going to kill it. Meanwhile, Thrall and 2 Dale captains were just heroic combat, bouncing around, killing everything they touched. It was beautiful. One of my favorite games I've ever played. But yeah, no, it belongs in the whole.
The whole.
The whole. The
Wowly.
The wowly.
The wowly.
Wowly.
To the death.
To the death.
This is the most just. This is the scenario you play when you first start the game. It's always just that, like, here it just send armies at each other. That's good. I like it.
To the death and Lords of Battle, I always like get them mixed up. Which one is to the death?
Oh my god!
Is this
doesn't even have the fucking thing open? This is just murder each other.
Oh hell yeah! All right, yeah.
Doesn't even have the fucking book open. Wowee.
No. Prepared? Never been.
No. Look, it's just literally murder each other. Like, the most points you can get on this one is broken unbroken, which is 5 and 3, which is fun.
Yeah.
I like it. It's fun. It's a simple just slap each other, which I like a good simple scenario sometimes.
See, Lords of Battle and To the Death, very, very similar, if not basically the exact same game. I love it at a tournament when we get one of these, but if I'm at a tournament where we pull both of them, that's kind of disappointing.
I don't think they're the same, just purely on the fact that I feel like you have to be a bit more tactical with Lords.
They've got a very similar vibe.
Yeah, but like there's a bit more going on, I think, in Lords. The other big difference is the deployment, to be fair, 12 and 24.
And 24, yeah.
And I believe Lords is 1-2. Yeah, so Lords is 1-2 and To the Death is quarter. So there's some differences, but yeah, like they're similar-ish.
Yeah.
I think they're a solid. I think they're a solid A tier.
Yeah. I honestly was gonna say B for both of them, to be honest, just because they're great and I really enjoy playing both of them, but they're just like they're the stock standard ones in my mind. When I think of this game, fair. I think of Lords and To the Death.
I think the big thing is like I just think like in terms of how we've been grading them in terms of like a competitive side, I think it's one of the fairer ones. And I think like in terms of like, Command the Battlefield and Clash, like they're a little less fair than To the Death.
Yeah.
I feel like competitively and like in a tournament setting, I'd prefer to have To the Death than I would have Command the Battlefield or Clash.
No, fair enough. Makes sense to me.
My thought process.
I love it. I love a good proper thought process because I don't have thoughts.
No, apparently
I think
not.
Therefore I Am does not apply to me.
Hold ground. Just a big melee in the center.
This one, I don't know how I feel about this one. I really don't.
See, I don't know if I've actually played it too often. It doesn't actually pop up too.
Yeah, it doesn't come up. The last time I remember playing this was at the very first Gladstone when I ran the bolt throws for the first time. And I was going up against Rohan. And I scared my opponent so much with that bolt thrower that I eventually was able to get the bolt thrower onto the whole ground, exact middle, and just waited there until he came towards me, and I just gunned him down.
Ouch.
But that was like 2 years ago at this point. I don't remember the last time I played whole ground.
I honestly can't remember the last time I played it at all. I genuinely do like it though, like when it does pop up. Because like Maelstrom, sure, but like it's Maelstrom, but you're all heading for the center anyway, so it's not like it's a lot more just like, oh, okay, we're heading for the center, we're gonna maybe fight each other on the way there, but it's less like, oh, Heirlooms where you're heading for one objective because someone's picked it up straight away, or what's the other Maelstrom?
Sorry,
Divide and Conquer, I think.
I just remember the last time I played Whole Ground.
Oh.
Was it Gladstone? and it was with bolt throwers, but 2 bolt
Oh
throwers.
no, it was
And
Jarek.
I made Jarrett cry. Well,
Oh,
he was very upset.
you basically made him quit the game. Honestly, I mean,
Yeah.
he's barely played since.
Yeah, that was pretty rough. Started off really, really well for him. He destroyed one of my warbands, but then, but then he had to face double bolt throws. I think we had, apart from him destroying that first warband, there was one other combat because all of his guys that were walking forward were just gunned down by these bolt throws.
That's so
yeah,
bad.
That was a rough game. I did not enjoy being a part of that game.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Scenario-wise, though, I think Old Ground is actually quite good. I actually quite like Old.
Yeah, I think I rate it, just like looking back into thoughts. I think I do rate it.
Where?
I think I do want to say B with this one.
I was honestly thinking like pretty high A. Because like I don't know, when you think about Old Ground, like for most armies, I feel like it's really quite good. Because most armies want to just kind of, be in the middle, get stuck in. And even if you're a shooting army, like you can just shoot at your opponent on the center because they're going to want to go to the center.
Yeah.
And then move in a bit later. Like,
hey, look, I'd be happy. I'd be happy with an A. I'd be happy with an A.
Yeah.
Once again, like I haven't played the scenario much over the past.
I remember the last time I played it. Actually, I fucking smashed it because I was playing Rangers up against all foot Theodred's Guard. And I was just sitting there just peppering off, like shooting fish in a barrel basically. Problem is that I shot a little bit too much and the game ended on the very first 1-2 and I'm like, shit. One more turn I would have had the center, but
yeah,
I just shot just that little bit too long.
That's always the bloody way, hey?
I think
yeah, put A.
Yeah.
I want to play it again because as we both said, we both haven't played it in ages. I want to play it again just to like.
Maybe it'll appear at the next tournament.
Maybe it will.
Tournament.
The battle.
Yeah, Lords of Battle, last one. You are mostly right. It's very similar to the Death. I think I prefer Lords to the Death, to be honest.
Yeah, it just this in my mind. If someone says Lords of Battle, I think of both scenarios. They say to the death. I get them both mixed up constantly. I'm not. Lords and contest are the ones I always get confused. Really? Oh wow! Because they're both kind of tally ones, and I'm like, tally. Yeah, no, it's not contest. It's good. It's fine. Yeah, it's the good one. Lords of Battle and to the death. Unless I'm looking at the book, it's the exact same scenario. And I play them the exact same until I go, how do I score points in this one again? Or what one are we playing again? Yeah. Well, it's like, you got to target mounts. You've got to be trying to get wounds through fate and that kind of stuff. Just kill. So I think there is there is a bit more tactics to it. Just kill. You also get the might back on heroes and that kind of stuff. If your hero kills a hero, that kind of stuff. Which is quite nice. I always forget it. Yeah, everyone does. But when you remember it, it's quite nice. It's great. It is phenomenal. I think in my mind it's got to sit with the death. I prefer it over to the death. Yeah, no, that's fair. Same scenario in my mind, but I think they just sit together. I think there's more to do in Lords than to the death. To the death is literally just slap and kill each other. I think Lords you have a smidge more happening. Yeah, which I feel like in terms of beginners coming into the game, you play to the death first. To the death is the most standard scenario. It is, and then you start moving into other stuff. But do you know what? I rate how this looks. Fog of War Domination. Without a doubt, the best scenarios. Fog of War, though, I've played it way too much. I'm in the exact same boat. I think Fog played it way too much, but it is, and because we've played it so much, the only reason we've played it so much. Oh my god, my brain just did not melt. Right. Is because it is the most balanced scenario.
It's
Now-
just like it's such an easy like balance scenario.
Oh, it's great. Now, just, before we finish it off, your favorite scenario?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Big.
I like the chaos of Heirlooms, even though it is in C tier. It's kind of fun to have that chaos. But it can also be very like swingy in that chaos. Of like, oh yeah, someone picks it up straight away and then nothing happens.
I love Heirlooms. I think Heirlooms is one of the best scenarios, but not tournament wise.
Not tournament wise. Too swingy. I actually, honestly, and I know you hate it. Commander Battlefield is one of my favorites. I reckon.
Yeah,
genuinely one of my favorites. I reckon.
See, without a doubt, my favorite. Destroy the supplies. It suits my style perfectly. I love it.
I hate destroy the supplies.
So good.
I don't know. I don't have very like interesting games doing it most of the time. It's just one opponent sits in the back, the other opponent comes towards you, and shit happens, I guess, sometimes.
I think it's also me and Riley play like every tournament.
So often.
Like every tournament we verse each other, it's destroy the supplies.
Yeah.
It's incredible. But yeah, I love destroy the supplies.
Oh, that's a good list.
I'm happy with that. Recontest?
Yeah. I don't know.
Contest.
Recontest? What?
Down the very bottom. Recon contest.
Oh, Recon contest. Yeah, nice.
Recon contest. And then you got Assassination breakthrough.
It's actually Assassin breakthrough.
And Fog of War Domination.
Domination. Yeah, good. Lords of to the battle death.
Oh, disgusting. Now, this is a good list.
I feel like there could have been something else in S tier, but I don't know if we would have really agreed on any of them, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's the issue here, is like the scenarios you enjoy, like Commander Battlefield, I fucking hate with a passion.
Yeah. Honestly, I reckon if we'd played Hold Ground more, it's probably an S tier one.
I think, yeah, like, as I briefly said, like, just trying to dig back deep in the memory banks of when I have played Hold Ground, it's always been a good time, and you don't feel the effects of Maelstrom as much, because as you said, everyone swarmed down into the middle. So I think Hold Ground could have been up there.
But yeah, I think that was the only other one, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Do the fucking like and shit, maybe, if you wanna.
But we're a dead channel. Doesn't mean
this is Dwayne the Goomba Johnson signing off.
And I'm Mike Wazowski.